everybody, this is Diana Bewaras. I'm sorry we're just a little bit late, but with all the technology and everything, and my guest is all the way from South Africa, and I'm so excited to hear about her work. She's doing absolutely fabulous job in trying to change the world, trying to help women and make a difference so we can confidently go into the right direction and get rid of the things that are bothering us once and for all. So please welcome M. Mahrim Mia. Thank you so much for being here. And we would love to know more about you. Please tell us about yourself, introduce yourself to our viewers today.
Well, firstly, thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure and an honor to be here. In terms of who I am, I always identify myself by three roles, and that's being a daughter and a wife and a mom. Over and above that, I'm a global goodwill ambassador, which is something I received in humanitarianism last year. I'm also the South African ambassador for Ladies of All Nations International. I am also an international ambassador for the Global Educators Fraternity. I'm the country ambassador here for what we call Igniting Young Minds. And I'm also the South African National Director for International Youth Society. I also own my own company, which is called the MEA Company. I'll talk about that shortly. And I'm the co-founding director of an NGO here in South Africa, which is called Helping Hand Social Society. So I have multiple caps that I wear. And in terms of academia, I have studied law, I studied financial forensics, and I've studied developmental psychology. But I've kind of put all of those into one basket to try and do what I do now, which is my passion. And that is women and child empowerment and growth for humanity. So that is mostly what I do, and this is me at the moment.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. And what exactly you would love to discuss today on this live TV series? What exactly is something that you feel like it's very important for the world to know?
I think one of the biggest things are the challenges that we're facing globally, not just in South Africa, but around the world. And I don't think we can ever get tired of talking about it because every day is something new that we learn from it. And that is when the pandemic hit us all. This pandemic brought about different mindsets, different ways of thought, different life changes. And all of us were left with this almost a fear of an unknown when it started last year. I know us in South Africa, we all, I'm sure everyone across the world, we're going through the same thing. What is going to happen? How is this going to be? We don't know anything about this. So that fear of the unknown actually got to us quite badly. And here in South Africa, for example, right now we're still in the third wave. Our numbers are increasing drastically every day. And I'm sure this is continuous around the world as well. So what I'd like to focus on a little bit and to get a message out there is a message of hope, is a message of faith and the reignition of that faith within each of us in the world right now. Because one of the things for me that got me going was when we have to face these adversities, the one thing we need to remember is this art of gratitude. So, regardless of the difficulties that you may be facing, regardless of the adversities that are going on around you, just remember that there is still one or two things that you can be grateful for. And if on a daily basis you take 2 to 3 minutes and assess yourself, assess your life, and still say, well, what do I have to be grateful for every evening? 2 or 3 minutes of your time. You alone, from the sense of gratitude you have for the small things that you have, will gain an inner strength to get through for tomorrow. So, right now, if you are somebody who's got a roof above your head, if you're somebody who's breathing without the need of an oxygen tank, I'd say that's massive to be able to say, I'm grateful for this. Um, and in the whole aspect of being grateful and having the sense of gratitude about what life has given you, there's always that humanitarian inside you that reaches out to everybody else in the world who doesn't have what you have just been grateful for. So that's where the humanitarian in me comes in. And I really appeal to everybody. Find that humanitarian inside you to feel for the next one, because it's in changing ourselves to be the better humanitarian that we're able to change other people's lives too. Sometimes it's not necessarily you having to give money or you have to give a specific object or something specific. It's just your smile. It's just you being there. It's just you listening when somebody needs to be heard. These are things that actually make the difference for people in the world right now. And we need to actually share and know that as humanity, as the global sense of humanity, we need to still stand together to fight whatever it is we are all facing. So that would be one of the biggest things I think I'd like to send a message of hope out there to know that we have hope. We have hope in each other as we have hope in ourselves. So when I talk about some of the things I do, one of my specializations is in empowerment. And I said my specialty is in women and children, but it's in humanity at large. And I say when you want to empower, you need to empower yourself first before you can try to empower others. And so I say to everybody right now, find the you within you that can be empowered. Empower you as best as you can, because when you are empowered, you will be able to empower those around you to get through this time that we're all facing.
That's very true. That's very true. And if we all come together as a team and help each other, support each other, things are gonna shift into the right direction, and we're gonna help so many people, including ourselves. This is very important. So when it comes to women, we're facing a lot of issues. In addition to COVID-19, women are being mistreated. There's so many things going on, especially during the lockdown. A lot of women lost their lives. And I saw you're working on women's issues. What exactly are you doing? What is your country doing about women?
Well, I'll start with me and what I do. A lot of what I do is based on my own life's journey and experiences. So it's me picking up myself and learning from it, and then teaching what I've learned as the tools that other women would need to empower themselves to grow. So my idea is that, you know, I can have multiple degrees, which I have by God's grace, and I have multiple certificates by God's grace, but the worth of the actual certificate you have is only measured by what you give off to people around you to grow them. So every cap that I wear is actually my knowledge base and learning. So hopefully I'll be a lifelong learner. And as such, the knowledge that I gain is actually what empowers me. And I say to every woman and girl child, especially out there, your biggest weapon that you have against anything and anyone will always be your knowledge. It will be your education. And I strive and I really push for even the countries and places that don't have education and access of education for our women and children, because education is your key. Education is your key to your self-growth. It is your key to opening doors for you in your future, in your career. But in your education, there's also how you have to educate yourself for you to be the best version of you. And sometimes as women, we encounter multiple issues, you know, that just encompass us and we get overtaken by what the issues are. And I'm here to tell women right now, and I'd love for every sister that's out there to listen. You are worthy. Just you being a woman is a gift of you unto yourself first. And when you acknowledge you as a gift for you, you will acknowledge that you are a gift unto those around you. And the one mistake I think many women make throughout their lives is that we tend to start living our lives based on standards that other people give us and to become a baseline. And I say no. We as women have our standards and we need to stand by what works for us. And in empowerment, what we try to do, what I try to do is show you that if you empower yourself, remember, you are not full. Because it doesn't mean for me, if I empower you, it doesn't mean that you need to become a dictatorial somebody where you dictate to others and you become disrespectful or you become too powerful over other people that you tell them what to do, etc. No. Empowerment for me is all about you growing yourself, developing yourself, finding yourself, and finding the most authentic version of you because this is your journey. So the one thing that we need to understand is when you empower you as a woman, you yourself is definitely going to be able to know yourself, and your best version of yourself is going to be able to help others to around you to develop themselves, and it will just have a catalyst effect in that way. So I always say if we empower one woman and one family, We're empowering one family within a community. And you empower that community empowers the society, builds itself to become an empowered society. And an empowered society will then become an empowered nation. So it does start with one. And us women, we do have that capability. Each one of us is a leader. We are a leader in our own right, we're a leader in our own home, and we are definitely the leaders of change. It starts within each of us. And this is what I try to embrace and teach even our women here in my country. And we are taking motivational steps. We are taking fantastic steps to build ourselves. And one of our philosophies is always that, and mine especially, is that we rise by lifting others. We pick up other women, other sisters, we grow them, we develop them, we teach them how to self-sustain. And, we need to teach that people need to be the change that they want to see. And us women need to know that we don't need to still sit and feel sorry kind of for yourself. Get up and push yourself and motivate yourself and empower yourself because you do have that. You are worthy to do it.
Absolutely, absolutely. This is how the way it should be. When you're example for other women, or other women look at you and they say, "Hey, I can do the same thing." Also, this is one of the things, and we need to come together again, women, and support each other and do everything in our power so we can create good lives for ourselves, find ourselves, and understand that our lives matter.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And our lives matter because other people depend on us on a continuous basis. So remember, every day throughout the day, you're taking on different roles as a woman. And if you be the best version of the role that you need to play, then that's exactly what's needed for everybody else too. So being the best of you is the best for everybody else. So find you first. That's imperative. Find the best version of you because that is the best version for your journey and for others around you.
Yeah, women's roles are very important. They impact a lot of lives when it comes in the family also. Being positive, it means being yourself and honor yourself, find time for yourself, do the things that makes you. It doesn't matter how busy you are, and we all know how difficult it is to raise children and to take care for your family and everything. You need to stop sacrificing yourself, but you need to replace it with taking care for yourself and doing the things that makes you really, really pivotal for the future for everybody. And
Yes.
this is for, on the global level.
And and as a woman, you will know that there are people around you that look to you, yes, to make decisions on a daily basis. Remember that you as a woman are taking a leading role in making those decisions. You take care of your family from morning until night. That is you taking a leadership role. So understand that it's not just a certificate that makes you a leader. You become a leader by you being you. And if you want to be the best leader that you can be, then you need to find the best of you within you. And I always say the number one key factor is just one letter of our alphabet, and that's the letter I. I stands for individual. Your individuality, you as the I, has to become I for important. So you have got to place that kind of importance on your individuality and grow your strength because that is what is needed right now.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not only women, everybody else, they need to find themselves. So we can, create the kind of a life for ourselves. And this is going to make us more positive because positivity, it's really, really important right now. Being positive and looking things through the pink glasses basically so we can make a difference. I'm sorry about my dogs.
It's fine.
Yeah,
That's
I
fine.
know.
Well,
Yeah, I know.
he's having his proud moment at the moment, so we allow him.
Exactly, exactly. And we need to get rid of the fear and everything else because fear is a stupid feeling, and these kind of keep us stuck and make us manifest the same misfortune we don't want to see in the world. And once
Yes,
we go over it, things are gonna start shifting, and we're gonna receive the things that we want to see, we want to experience, which are belong to us. All the beautiful, happy moments we are here on this earth to experience.
Yes, absolutely. And one of the biggest things that we need to also change within each of us is the different mindsets that we have. If you are somebody who is continuously on a negative sense of your mindset, then you have got to try and reframe that. That's one of the things I teach, is how to reframe your mind, reframe your thoughts so that they become more positive as they are negative. And once you actually start to perceive things more positively, and this is where the art of gratitude comes in. Instead of focusing on what is the negative in something, try and find the positive in it. You'll be able to actually develop a sense within you that is more stronger. So one of the things that we can talk of, for example, is loss of life. We've lost many people to this virus itself. And I personally lost many people around me, within my family as well as colleagues throughout the world, etc. But the one thing I learned, and it was kind of a coping skill, is instead of viewing it as I rather view it as what have I gained from having them for as long as I could. So I look back and I say the people that I've lost in my troubles, they were given to me as a gift. Death is not something you can fight with. And I can't fight with this virus. It's still out there. It's not here for me. It's not, I can control it, but I can control myself. So if I can take control of me and my thought process, then how I perceive people's death and me losing them is important for me to grow. So what I decided to do was everyone that I've lost, I pick from their treasure moments from what I've gained from having them on my journey. Those treasure moments become what I take forward to kind of keep the legacies alive. So it's not so much the loss that I feel. Yes, physically you feel, you feel the loss that they aren't there. Emotionally you feel sad, but that's the humanness in us. But if you have to take the mental aspect, convert that loss into actually what have I gained? I've actually gained a gift of having someone with me for as long as I did. Give gratitude again. Say thank you to your creator that you had who you had for as long as you had them, and go back to figure out, well, what can I take? So the lesson I'm trying to give here is your perception and your mind, and what you're framing in your mind is how you speak to yourself is also crucial for how you remain positive even in the face of the adversities you're facing.
Absolutely, this is a very good point, and I tell people be careful how you speak to yourself because you're listening.
Yes.
It's
If,
really
if there's one
important.
if there's one conversation that you will have very, very often, is the conversation you have with yourself. And I think if you don't speak to yourself properly in the proper terminology and get the proper words to you, remember you're the one listening to you. And the only other person who knows what you even thinking before it comes through your mouth is your creator. But the bottom line is your language that you speak to yourself within yourself is what manifests. So if you're talking negative continuously, you will manifest the negativity. But if you talk to yourself in this alternate framing where you bring about the positiveness within you, then you will obviously be able to get to a more empowered version of you. And your clarity on decision making, your clarity on how you do things, everything shifts and changes to become more positive.
Absolutely, I'm totally agree with you. That's how it works, and this helps other people also because people are picking up from others and they're learning. It's a learning process, and
Yes.
we need a lot of positive people who are turning the negative. I always say people turn the negative into positive. Find where is the lesson into the things that you encounter daily or the obstacles you are forced to overcome. Find the positivity. There is something positive inside of that.
Yes, for sure. For sure. And you just need to look at it within yourself, really. Every single one of us has got the ability to do it. We just need to take the time to be able to do the reframing within ourselves. That's what empowering is about. That's what motivation is about. And you have to learn that you need to be the best inspiration for you. And every one of us is worthy of that, and we can do it. Because you can. We all can. We have this ability. We just don't need to be stuck in a negative frame. We can undo it and reframe. It's just up to us to make the call and make the changes. But do remember that if you want to make a change, you have to got to be honest with yourself about what you're doing, why you're doing it, and why you want the change. Um, Don't do things simply because somebody outside of you would prefer it that way. Do it because you really feel that you are worthy enough of the change, first for yourself and then for others around you. That's very important as well. That you have to stay honest with who you are, honest with who you're being, because that is the whole idea of finding your authenticity. Is trying to be honest with yourself, and then having your self-respect will obviously then bring about people to respect who you are.
Yeah, that's very true. Find yourself. Most people, they don't have idea that they're lost, and that's why they experience the same negative things in life. And the reason is because they're following wrong path, and they're following somebody else's path, and they're looking from these people, from that people, from their friends, and it's really difficult route. And that's why you're always negative, experience anxiety, and you're always on the negative side. So this is really important, really important.
So the awareness, yes, the awareness of what you're going through is very crucial, because if you're not aware of exactly what's happening, then you're never going to really know until it becomes an overload. So I give you an analogy. For example, if you have to keep, if you sweep up a little bit of dust and you put it underneath a little carpet, and you leave it there, no one's really going to know there's dust under that carpet because the carpet's covering it. But if you keep sweeping and you keep mounting dust upon dust upon dust under a small little carpet, at some point that carpet's going to throw over and the dust is going to be all over the place again. And that's kind of what happens if we hide emotion and we don't deal with what we're feeling and who we really are. It becomes so compounded and it becomes emotional. And then eventually you outburst and then nobody really understands and you don't understand what's really going on with you. So rather become more aware of certain things about you to try and change them before they become that pile of dust under a carpet, because you don't need that erosion. You actually need to put it into a dustpan and get rid of it if it's not needed. So just really try and find you, and try and grow you and be honest with who you need to be in whatever role you're playing. Remember, we as women, especially, and this is no disrespect to any male, but for women, you on one day, for example, have got to be, you got to be a wife, you got to be a mother, you got to be a daughter to some. If you're a sister, you're a sister, and if you're a businesswoman, then you have a businesswoman cap you're wearing. If you do what, things that I do, there's multiple different caps that you wear. But if you're not going to find you, can you imagine if every one of those just has a compounding negative effect? Eventually you're not going to be able to fulfill any of those roles to the best of your ability. It's going to become compounded with cloud and self-doubt and everything like that. So if you go into psychology, you understand that anxiety is not just something that happens overnight. There's a build up to it. Depression doesn't just happen overnight. There's a build up to it. And if you have to look at the pandemic, for example, one of the things I spoke about when I had a workshop, sorry, a webinar with the EU and stuff last year, was something I mentioned to them, in that we with the pandemic, for example, we got told, and we still know this. You need to go into isolation if you have symptoms. You go into quarantine, and we have to keep social distancing. You can't really, and when you are isolated, you can't see anybody. You don't talk, you don't communicate. You just you have to be away from stuff. You just lack communication. There's no touching, there's no socializing, there's nothing. And if you look into psychology, that's kind of exactly what people in depression go and do. They isolate. They go into this recluse. They don't talk. They don't socialize. They don't communicate. They just by themselves, and they go into this reserve mode. So the pandemic is teaching you to actually go into a depression state. That is why one of the key things we teach, and I sit on many COVID programs, one of the key things we teach is, yes, when you are COVID positive, for example, you have to take the medication, you have to do A, B, and C. But the biggest way to fight your COVID being positive for you is in your mind. The mental capacity that you have to go through that being alone, that sense of aloneness when you are positive, that is where you will build your strength from. So if you're strong in your mind, it might not be easy, but if you keep the strength in your mind to know that I will overcome this, and you will grow in the strength, then you will get better. So remember that we got a lot that happens with us, but we need to encounter each of the roles that we play, whatever it is that is thrown at us, with the sense that I can overcome this because I'm able, not with the words that we speak to ourselves. Well, this is too hard, I don't know. give yourself some credit and even try, make the attempt, you know. So I think that's very important for people to really register with that.
Yeah, very true, very true. And I think the COVID, the pandemic was a way for us to stay home and think about who we are and work on ourselves and give us a time to think about the things that are makes us, the things we do wrong, how we can improve it, what we can do without other people coming into our life and trying to cop them and be themselves. And I tell people, don't look at other people because there is only one of you, unique individual. There is no anybody like you in this world, and you need to honor who you are. And you should never, never envy, jealousy, this kind of a toxic feeling. You should never allow it because it's like a poison for you as well as for everybody else who is surrounding you. It's really imperative to understand that we are unique individuals and we need to find the things that makes us and work on it.
Yes, and what I'd like to also point out is, remember earlier I spoke about the I, the letter letter of the alphabet I, and I always teach, and I had a little Zoom session with some children and stuff in Liberia earlier this afternoon, and I mentioned this to them too, that the I, letter I, stands, you know, it can stand for many different things, but I want to push it out there that the I is for individual, and the I is for importance. And if you marry the both, then you will find that there is an importance in you, in your individuality. And when you become somebody who's empowered enough to love yourself and to be your most authentic version, what you're always saying you need to be, then whoever around you is, and how they feel and what they say is not really going to interfere with who you are, because you are already in essence with your core and you at peace with who you have to be. And I always say this to people, and I said this throughout, throughout last year, and I say it now. Um, this virus, for example, is something that's outside of us. Remember, what people will continue to say about you is outside of you. What people will think about you is outside of you. You can't control other people. You can't control this virus. You can't control many things. But all of the things that are outside of you, remember, that's not within your control. Rather focus on things that you can take control of. And the number one thing that you can control is you. You in yourself. You in your mind. You with your body. You with your spiritual self, you with your heart and your emotions. Everything about you is within your control. So don't focus so much of energy into stuff that you really don't have control over. Rather focus on what you can control. I can't control somebody being jealous of me. I can't control people being nasty with or speaking nasty with me or being nasty to me. I can't control people trying to make up lies about me. I really can't control stuff like that. But what can I control? I can control my reaction to those. And if those are things that are really mundane because you are really happy with the core and epicenter of who you are and where you're at, then all of them can just keep doing what they do and you just stick to your lane and run your race, because this is your journey, your lane, and your race. And stick with that. That's going to get you to your eventual finishing line, and that's your destiny. So if you just understand that your authentic being is your best, nothing outside of you needs to alter that.
That's very true. I do the same thing. I tell I don't have any control over everything what's going on around us. When it comes to COVID, we don't have control. When it comes to COVID as a virus, we cannot change this. We cannot change the situation. We cannot get rid of it. We just need to stay positive and hope for the best. For things to turn in our best interest, like in this case, being locked at home is basically a way to improve ourselves, think about the things we're doing wrong, think about the people we have around, and everything else. It's inside job, working on yourself and bringing all the good things given to us since birth, all the beautiful traits, love, kindness, compassion, all of these things, so we can change our lives and help others do the same.
I think this COVID-19 has brought us all to realize that we all just have to be humble. And in our humility is where we will be able to draw strength from each other. Because no matter what your status is, no matter what your position is, no matter what your wealth is in this world right now, you are still facing the same fear of this virus. You are still facing the same contact of this virus being a possibility of attacking you first and your family and loved ones. So if there's anything this virus has done is it's taught us all to become humble. And it's taught us all to rather appreciate the smaller things which we took for granted before. One of those obviously being the loved ones that we have, but also the finer things. The other things that people just you take for granted, just the breath of fresh air. You take for granted that you can even walk around when you feel like it outside. You could go to a mall whenever you wanted to. You can sit and eat wherever you want to. You can do whatever you wanted to do. All of a sudden comes COVID-19, and this you just can't do it all anymore. There's no going out for an ice cream anymore. There's no going out to a park. There's no going out to a beach. There's no going out to enjoy the sun because you don't know what's there. So the smaller things that we used to just take for granted suddenly became really what we look forward to again. It's stuff that we actually don't want to lose. We don't want to lose that sense of, I want to go out and enjoy the fresh air. Nowadays, when you have to be able to breathe in the fresh air outside, it has a whole different meaning as opposed to when you had it before. And especially if you can do it on your balcony or something like that, where you can have a mask off. That is something that you will actually, you resonate with the moment that I don't have a mask on and I'm breathing in fresh air. Because no matter where you go now, you've got to have a mask on. So you're not having that ability to breathe in the same air you had before. So one of the things I say to you is, if you're really stuck at home because of COVID-19, take it as time of introspection. It's time for you to just get in touch with yourself, get in touch with your analysis of who you are, where you're at, what you want to do, how's your career going, if it's going. And if you've lost stuff because of COVID-19, then start to reframe. Well, what have I lost versus what have I gained in lessons from there? And how can I make it now, change it into something better going forward? Um, so COVID-19 has brought many lessons to many, many people in different ways. It's also brought lessons to our children. Our children have become, we gave lots of recognition to frontliners, and I still give them recognition, and that's, the paramedic and the police people, the doctors, the nurses, frontliners, people like myself and my team that goes out to different locations and stuff. Anything that we do, we all frontliners, and we give credit to every single person out there in the world that does these things. Even somebody that's cleaning up beds and stuff in our hospitals, we have to give them all really immense gratitude that they do this, because it's all risky. But another frontliner for me are our children. Our children have endured so much in the past couple of months, and yet they've done it with a smile. We never took the time to do awareness campaigns for our kids to say, well, you know what, this is what's happening, just, explain it. And we didn't have that. They just had to go with the flow. You go to school today and then tomorrow, don't go to school tomorrow, and then go to school the next day, and I can't talk to my friends. Okay, you got to stay home and you have to do a Zoom lecture or Zoom lesson. They just had to go with the flow. So those are frontliners too. So when you have to sit and COVID-19 is giving you a timeout, take the time out and really resonate with it. I'm having the timeout from the universe. Why? And appreciate yourself, appreciate that you are still here, appreciate that you are still here because you probably still have a purpose. Identify with your introspection, what is my purpose, what can I learn, what can't I learn, what can I give, what can't I give, and how can I help, if I can, anyone else. For me personally, I heal myself by healing others. It's just my thing. I love giving, and like I said before, giving is not necessarily just giving of money or giving a meal. Of course, these are all multiple blessings. But some people actually just need to be heard. Some people just need to know that you're there. A simple text message to someone to say, I'm here, and I'm thinking of you is important for your loved ones. You all need to still keep in touch. You can't see each other because of distance. You have people that are ailing, stuff like that. And you just need to keep in contact in some way. So where you took for granted that I can take a drive tomorrow to go and see my loved one, and now you can't do it because of COVID-19, that's something that you can still be grateful for what you spent before, and now work towards how you appreciate that you still have the person to talk to.
Absolutely. I'm totally agree with you. Just take the lessons and just make it a positive thing. And I accomplished so much work during the COVID-19. You have no idea. Something I couldn't do. and I turn the negative things, the lockdown, into something that it gave me a lot of opportunity to grow and to do the things I didn't have time to do it. So I'm happy and I'm humble, and like you, I am so grateful for the people I was able to make a difference in their life, and this is the best thing that can happen in my life, and this makes me feel good for myself and makes me grateful that I'm able to change somebody's life and make them feel good for themselves. Really important. And if we all start thinking like this, uh, we can save a lot of lives and we can make a lot of people feel good for themselves, even though we are facing these kind of challenges at the moment.
Yes, exactly. And wow, I so salute you and I appreciate you for actually using this time to become more positive and for making the changes and for making the difference to people and to the world. And I know when lockdown hit us here, it was so sad because in South Africa we have multiple townships and locations, etc., that are way, away from a town, a city where you can actually get food and stuff. And I was blessed to be able to get the permit to be able to do what I did. And with an amazing team of volunteers, etc., we had fantastic some sponsors, some donors, and some of obviously my own resources and whatever. But we tried to get people meals, we tried to get people masks, we tried to go out and do stuff. And for each day that I went out into these spaces, I always came back with a feeling of more gratitude and love for what I had, because I had witnessed firsthand people that didn't have. I had witnessed and saw children that were didn't have something to keep warm in winter, which is what started my blanket drive and winter drive. So small things like that made me learn stuff and appreciate stuff. And then I would take that message back to my home and I tell my husband or I tell my child or I'd say, this is what I saw today, and this is the lesson I think we all need to get from there. So in my home, for example, there's a tape recorder that plays all the time. You shouldn't waste that little bit because somebody doesn't have food. So if you have to ask anyone in my home, that's like a tape recorder I play constantly. But that's just, for everything that I go out to do, I come back with something that makes me grateful for something I have or what I've seen. And I always say, give gratitude to our creator for something that he's allowed, and that is for us to be the conduits, for us to be able to be what I call his servants and his warriors, to be able to serve humanity. I think is itself a blessing. So the idea is that when we go to do these feeding schemes, or to actually give people a hamper of groceries, when they actually take it from you, and if you look at their faces, and if you see the gratitude, and you see, I mean, I sometimes do this, and I go to help elders and some that are disabled, etc. And when they give you a blessing, and when they give it to you, you see it that it's wholehearted. When you see their blessing and they speak it to you, and they actually overwhelmed with emotion because you're actually just there. And I just have a tendency to not just drop off or something. I like to talk. I like to let them know that I am here, even with social distancing. And when you hear that God bless you so much from somebody who you've just given hope to, that's exactly what you've done. You've reignited hope in somebody who felt hopeless. You've given faith to people that have lost faith in humanity even. And suddenly they have faith again and they feel like I can go on. And that for me is the essence of what we do. It's when we go through things, we need to realize there's always somebody worse off than you are. But also remember, in that space of what you're going through, you can heal by trying to heal somebody else who's probably going through something similar. And only by just being there, just being you, is being the change that people need. Um, so I think it's amazing. It's amazing that we have the means and the mentality to be able to know that even though COVID-19 is as it is, and that is as difficult as it is, some of us will pull it out and say, you know what, it's fine. You are as difficult as you are, but I am as strong as I am. And I'm going to win over what I need to win over to make the difference to humanity.
Absolutely. This is absolutely true. Very true. and if everybody starts thinking like this, then we're not going to have any problem in the world.
Yeah. Yeah, we try to erase it.
Exactly, exactly. So, any last words before we wrap up this interview? You've been absolutely amazing and given so much positivity in the world. Just talking to you, it's absolutely fabulous. What else you want to share with everybody who's gonna watch this interview or are watching and are with us at this moment?
I think I'd like to remind everybody that each one of us has our own worth, and each one of us is worthy. And we are each a gift first unto ourselves, and then we are a gift unto mankind. When we embrace that role of being that gift unto mankind, we're able to make the change and difference. The first change and difference is for you as who you are to find the best version of you for your journey. But in doing so, you actually become the best for those around you and to impact humanity in itself. That is what we need. We need each one of us to be there, firstly for ourselves and for each other, because together,
It looks like we are having a technical difficulties at the moment. I cannot hear Amp Mahreen at all. Something happened, she froze. So let me see what I can do about it to bring her back. No, something happened. Basically, what she's trying to say, I believe, is if we come together and work as a team, we're gonna be able to save a lot of lives, make a huge difference in the world, unite. This is something I'm gonna talk about it very soon. And when we unite, then we are gonna be able to be indestructible and unshakable. And all the things that are bothering us at the moment, we'll be able to get rid of them because unity is a strong word and it's really something that is a key to cope with anything that is going to come into our lives, and we need to face it as well as the things we are facing at the moment. So I can tell thank you so much, Mahreen, Mia, for the wonderful words, for everything what you're doing, and I think she gave us a lot of information about how we can help others, how we can support others, and how people who have so much can be impacted by the virus. And the virus is discriminatory and showed us how similar we are. And no matter how much wealth we have, at the end of the day, we are all humans. So I love you guys, all my heart and soul, and are going towards you. Please be the positive, the most amazing version of yourself, and understand that positivity is keeping you away from experience anxiety, depression, and all the things you don't want to experience. And the way to cope with anything that is happening is to be positive, loving, and calm. And be yourself, be kind, and things are gonna change and shift the way we want them to shift. Thank you so much. I'm a love.